Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Dani, and today, Break.com talks with Thais Lawyer, the president and CEO of Our House. If you haven't heard of it yet, Our House's mission is to provide transformative care to end the cycle of homelessness for families. Before we begin, remember, if you're new here to this podcast, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Hi, Thais, and welcome.
Hi, Danny. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time and talking to me today. I'm really, really eager to learn more about the situation you guys are seeing there in Georgia right now. I think the pandemic might have hit you also pretty hard, right? I tend to still think that. But let's begin knowing more about your history. Could you tell us about how our house began and the changes that you've been through these years?
Sure. So, our house was founded in 1987 by really a group of concerned citizens who were seeing families who were in shelters or experiencing homelessness who were forced to leave the shelters during the day. And they actually had to leave with their young children with no place to go for their young children. And so, these citizens wanted to design a safe space for the children to thrive during the day. And with that commitment, love, and dedication, our house was born. Over the years, our programs have really had an opportunity to grow and to be responsive to the needs of children and families as they've changed and evolved. We've added things like case management services. We added national accreditation to our early learning programs. We added shelter. We've added rapid rehousing. So, the challenge for people experiencing homelessness is not one-sided, it's multifaceted. And so as our learning and understanding grew, so did our programs and the comprehensive nature of those programs, which are really designed to meet differing needs of families, to address trauma, to address issues of generational poverty, to address lack of educational skills, lack of employment skills. I have been at the helm of our house for almost 20 years. And during that time, I have been privileged to work with wonderful volunteers in our community and who really kind of understand that the needs are greater than any one program. So we've been able to partner with different organizations. In 2014, we actually merged with another organization that it was providing shelter for families with newborns, and we were able to double our programming. We went from, back when I started, we were serving 44 children and their families daily, to now we serve, oh my goodness, almost 3,000 people annually in our different programs. So after our merger in 2014, we then expanded by merging with an organization that provides healthcare. So we look at our work as comprehensive, at our services as a continuum, and we have really been focused on providing the right intervention at the right time for each individual family.
Oh, that's great to hear, and it is a very powerful journey, I would say. The
Yeah.
way that you actually find ways to understand and perceive the different needs and how the situation actually is bigger than the first thought, and then you try to meet this need is incredible. Now, trying to understand more, what is the challenge that you're facing? Our house attends works in two cities, right, in Atlanta and Decatur. What is
Correct.
the homelessness situation you're seeing in that right now? I mentioned COVID because I know that we heard here from many different organizations that the numbers on homelessness have like grew enormously after it. And I don't know if that's something that you are experiencing in Georgia as well.
Yeah, so we have seen an increase in the number of people experiencing homelessness. The pandemic has taken its toll on Georgia like it has on other areas in terms of the economic impacts for families who were unable to work, who were unable to continue paying their rent. Um, it is sort of we continue to see aftershocks right, from the pandemic, and we see it in a lot of the areas in which we work. One of our biggest programs is our early childhood education program, which is nationally accredited. And the early childhood education industry during the pandemic lost a lot of employees. We lost about a third of our workforce who chose to go into other areas of work. So imagine, if you will, a lower paying industry that required a high intensity level before the pandemic. And then when we added additional protocols around ensuring the safety of the children and the staff, that burden got bigger. Our wages didn't necessarily rise to meet the new burden. And so we lost about a third of our population, which is really difficult for us to deal with, particularly when you're serving a lower income population, because our services are free to the families that we serve, and the families need our care to go to work. Most of the families that we're serving are not in work from home jobs. They are in industries which require them to be present. And so now we have this gap of not enough qualified early educators to serve the number of children that we see coming to our doors looking for assistance. So yes, the pandemic has helped that. So if you can imagine the snowball effect, if I can't find childcare, I can't go to work. If I can't go to work, I can't afford my rent. So there are a lot of different factors that really impact a person's ability to obtain and maintain permanent housing. Um, I think some of the other areas that impact of our families are in those service industry jobs that for a while did not have the revenue to support a staff. So there was that low employment factor. And so, as an organization, what we tried to do is better understand what additional training opportunities could we offer our participants so that they had more employment opportunities in their future. I think slowly but surely, economically, we are moving toward more job openings. We have sort of a lower unemployment rate here in Georgia. Um, but it's really the toll of the pandemic. I think our recovery is a process, and we just have to recognize that and be graceful with our participants.
Oh, absolutely. And I couldn't have said it better. And thank you for bringing this perspective to us because it shows a different side of it. It's not just about
Mm.
losing a house or losing a relative. It's about, as I said, the snowball effect that all of
Yeah,
those things have socially. And thinking about this and the things that you mentioned before, I'm really interested in learning more about the programs that you offer. As I
sure.
said, you have a quite comprehensive list of programs, and I would like to learn more about them from you. What are your highlights?
Sure. So I mentioned our early childhood education program, which is nationally accredited by the National Association for the Education of Young Children. It is also quality rated, which is the state of Georgia's quality implementation system, which we're very proud to participate in. And really, the goal of that program is to provide our children with the brightest start possible. All of the research out there tells you that those first 5 years are critical to brain development. And so our programs are designed to maximize opportunities and to help those children brains grow and develop as best as possible. Another of our programs I mentioned is our shelter program. It is a family shelter and is designed to serve families with newborns 6 months or younger. And so, really, we'll accept a family however they present. If it's mom and dad, if it's two moms, if it's mom and grandma, as long as one of the members of the family is that infant 6 months or younger, they can come to us and stay with us for up to 6 months. Our goal there is to provide a stable environment and to help begin explore with the family some of the barriers to permanent housing that they've experienced. And again, that's different for everyone. And so we really do try to work individually with the family when they come to us. But our ultimate goal is to move people onward and into permanent housing. And that ties into one of our other programs, which is a rapid rehousing program. And in that program, we are able to provide some financial support for first month's rent, security deposit, some rental assistance over the first several months to help families really get stable, really help increase their income and really be in a position to maintain the housing long term. We also offer workforce development. As I mentioned, we train people to receive what's called a Child Development Associate credential. And that is a national credential, which is sort of the minimum standard for working in early learning programs. We talk about that program as being twofold. One, helping parents to better understand child development for themselves and their children, but two, an opportunity for an early career entry into the early childhood education field. And more recently, we've looked at it as an opportunity for us to help rebuild the workforce for early childhood educators in our community. We also offer our house health, which I mentioned. We've been doing that since 2022 via a merger. Our healthcare is nurse-led. So all of our providers are certified nurse practitioners. And the important thing or the important differentiator about the way we provide care is we provide services that, again, that are responsive to the needs of the people that come to us. We will spend 45 minutes to an hour with a patient if that's what they need. Again, a nurse-led model is really focused on the relationship between the practitioner and the patient. And so we really want to be able to understand what's going on and meet all of the needs of our patients. Our target population there are people experiencing homelessness who are low income or uninsured, which, as you know, is a big challenge for us in the US. The cost of healthcare is really high. In our state, most adults are not able to get Medicaid, which is the sort of state-run healthcare program. So if they don't have a job that offers health insurance, they can't get care. And so we really want to ensure that we're able to address that health inequity that exists in our community by providing access for our low-income participants. Our healthcare model also offers mental health services, which is a big need everywhere. I think in a post-pandemic era when we've all experienced different levels of trauma related to the pandemic itself. And then for our participants, the other areas of trauma that they may have experienced while experiencing homelessness, we recognize the need to offer a mental health component. And so we're happy to have launched that this year. We're going to continue to grow it. Our last program really wraps around everything we do. We provide case management services. So imagine if you have all of this coming at you, or if you're struggling in different areas of your lives, sometimes decision making can be a challenge. If you're operating from a place of stress and anxiety all the time, it can be difficult to make the right next decision. So our case managers are there to provide practical guidance, some counseling, provide access to resources, to make referrals, to help our families begin to chart a path forward and to navigate toward their next best self and their next best destination.
Wow, I'm really impressed about the amount of things that you're actually able to do. And I'm very touched by this approach in healthcare. I think it's very, very important to give individuals their own moment, their own pace on health treatment. And that's true sometimes, most times, we don't actually have access to that. And it's really beautiful to see this as a possibility. But it also makes me think that such huge effort and such dedicated effort must take a quite big structure to work. And with that, I would like to understand more how you guys funded, how you keep this things moving around in there.
Sure. So you're absolutely right. It takes a big structure. And more importantly, it takes big-hearted people. And so the team at our house is absolutely fabulous. They are 100% dedicated to helping people live their next best life and helping connect people with the right resources. Our funding comes from a number of places, from foundations. We have some government grants, from individuals. Our board of directors supports us with their personal resources. So it really is a community effort to help programs like our house provide the services in the way that we do.
Well, I can imagine that, and it makes sense, especially when you look at it as community development, right?
Yeah.
A lots of hands shaping their own future. So it's really something to think about. To everyone listening to us right now, and to everybody watching on YouTube, we're trying to cover some base here, but please do go to their website, which is ourhousega.org, and you can find much more information there. You can get in touch. If you know someone in need, you can actually refer the website and help them to get the help they need through their website. It's pretty easy to access. Go there. You can find the link on the description of this episode on your podcast app or on YouTube. All right. Now, Thais, I really want to know also, what are your next steps for the future? Where do you want to go as next goals for the future?
Sure. So actually, in the coming year, we're going to open up additional early learning spots for young children. We are actually partnering with other shelters and providers serving people experiencing homelessness to increase our healthcare offerings. We also are looking at ways to increase the amount of rapid rehousing that we can do in support of our families to help them find their permanent home. Again, our journey has been one of listening and responding to the needs of the people that we serve. And I'd like to say we'll go where we're needed. We'll provide services to families, again, that are designed to help them move onward and upward. And how that looks is dependent upon the need in our community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And since we talked about this need and we talked about the community getting involved, I really need to ask, what are the best ways for people following us right now to help you keep going?
Sure. Well, one of the quickest and easiest ways to help us keep going is when you go to our website, click that little donate now button and provide a contribution to the services. We also have different volunteer opportunities, and on our website, there is an opportunity to click to volunteer and learn more about volunteering. And so those are great ways to help us. And I guess the other big way is to talk about us. If you're listening to this podcast, to share our story, to share the work that we're doing with others in the community. And if you know someone in need, send them our way.
Yay, that's great. And I do hope people answer to this call that we're making right now and do get in touch. Thank you so much, Thais, for this talk. It was wonderful. I learned a lot.
Again, thank you so much for having me.
It was truly my pleasure. And for everybody listening, also, thank you so much for staying with us for one more episode. And remember, if you liked it, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because that shows the algorithms that this is an important conversation. And then we can spread the word about the importance of the work that our house is doing in Georgia. Bye, and I'll see you at the next episode.